plenty of character and plenty of fun to be had. We are here for our second race for Toyota GR Cup North America, and yesterday we saw absolute dominance like we hadn't seen in the entirety of the season out of our championship leader, Tyler Gonzalez. But today, the stakes are raised even more as the number 57 Copeland Motorsports machine has a chance to be able to clench the championship with another win here today. But the change in it, it's unlike yesterday. He will not be starting in pole position as Gresham Wagner was able to take the fight to him and pip the 57 to the pole. DJ Clark joined up here in the commentary booth alongside Kyle Heyer. And Kyle, we saw some fantastic action yesterday in the field, really from second on back. It was non-stop battling all through the field. Gonzalez, though, in a field of his own.
Absolutely. He won the race by nearly 23 seconds yesterday. Absolutely dominant. But one of my favorite parts of this Toyota GR Cup North America is we reshuffle the deck for race 2. We qualified again this morning, and Gresham Wagner will get to launch first when we go to green here in a few minutes' time, and Gonzalez will have to be on offense for the first time here at Sebring.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how that plays out. Obviously, we've seen some battles in between the two of them multiple times over the course of the season, most notably some great battles at VIR and at Road America. I think Road America was the real highlight as the two of them traded wins back and forth. And we talked to Gresham after that race, and he said, you know, I had to give everything that I had to be able to take Tyler on and really had to plan back the move to take the win over the course of about 3 laps. But with other names up there that may be a little bit new to the top 10, looking at the likes of Paul Bocuse, Austin Dodge, not normally names that we're seeing up there. This could throw a little bit of a wrench into the works. Also want to keep an eye on the 6th placed car. That is the Godwin Motorsports entry of Will Rogers. Will suffered a penalty yesterday despite qualifying second and had to start from the back of the field, but was still able to work his way up into a top 10. He'll roll off 11th here today, and I am fascinated to see what that car is going to be able to do.
Yeah, he drove all the way from the tail of the field. He was certainly a phenom yesterday, and so was Jordan Rick Segrini. He'll start a little deeper in the field this morning than he did yesterday, but had a second place all but locked up. He's new to road racing, and this is only his second year of competition, but he has been absolutely phenomenal here this weekend at Sebring, just plugged into a racetrack he knows very well from club racing.
Another driver to definitely keep an eye on here, that's going to be that number 68 machine that you just saw, Mia Lovell, who once again was able to take the fastest finishing female award yesterday. That was despite getting into some contact going into turn 1. Mia put on a startling performance up through the field. Another driver that you just pointed out to me that we definitely want to talk about here, and that is Stephen Clements.
Yeah, Stephen Clements and the entire BSI racing team have a special charity on board with them here this week that is basically in support of a corner worker's or safety crew worker's son who has cancer here, DJ, and you've got some more information about it, but it's been a really cool initiative that BSI Racing is putting on to raise money for this cause, and you can actually go down to their paddock spot and check it out and help donate to the cause.
Yeah, they're doing a raffle here at the track to give away some material that is absolutely wonderful, and we obviously send our thoughts and prayers out to the AMR safety team and that family as they deal with that. But nevertheless, there is a live look at Tyler Gonzalez starting in P2. As we said, maybe a little bit of help coming from behind, though. We mentioned Paul Bocuse. Not used to seeing them up in a top 5 position, but Paul starting off third. That's Tyler's teammate. And Kyle, if I'm working in the Copeland Motorsports team, I probably sat the two of them down and had a little bit of a chat before we got going today.
Yeah, sometimes having a teammate isn't about outwardly helping your teammate. It's just about not hurting your teammate. And we've seen a lot of times this season the Tech Sport Racing team camp go head-to-head, and it's a lot of fun to watch, but especially when you're trying to keep the dominant 57 back in this group instead of driving away, you kind of need to work together. So the Nitro Motorsports teammates of Wettingel and Corey Heim, they'll start basically kitty corner to each other. Austin Dodge is up there, the RVA Graphics by Speed Syndicate car. He's by himself in a field of Copeland Motorsports, Nitro, and Smooge up in the top 10. So it's going to be tough out there. A little bit of that co-opetition we talked about yesterday.
Well, a little bit of that co-opetition, and that's very important on a track like Sebring. Obviously, most well known for the bumps, the bruising nature of this circuit, but it's also an incredibly fast circuit with incredibly fast straightaways, and probably using those teammates to help a little bit of the draft. That could be something we talk about.
This racetrack has been weathered over time. It was first run as a racetrack back in 1950, built on an old World War II training base airfield, and with it comes a ton of surface transitions that the dampers on these GR86 Cup cars will have to go to work. This is like a chassis dyno. This racetrack will defeat you as a driver if you let it. You have to pick your lines very carefully because the bumps over time have gotten worse and worse and worse, and you'll be bouncing around a lot in here. It's tough to keep a clear head when your car is beating you up.
Yeah, it can be very, very difficult to do just that. Will Robusto, another driver to keep an eye for out of the powerhouse that is Smooge Racing. Ooh, that doesn't look too good, as it looks like, I believe that's the number 6 of Will Rogers. Some work going on underneath the hood there. That's a late race development. One of the drivers that we had circled there to kind of keep an eye on. That team clearly doing some work there under the hood, checking what looks to be some connectors. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, so under the hood there is that Boxer 4-cylinder engine, and there it fires there, so that's good. It is shaking around a lot, or it actually didn't fire, so that was just the starter motor trying to get it fired up there. Could have been playing with the connections to the fuel rail there or something of the sort, but maybe to the firing situation, but it's not coming alight, which is not good when you're only a couple minutes away from green flag, as the field will roll, and that number 6 car is not started. DJ, no fire under the hood of that car.
Oh, bad luck on the weekend. Going to worse here for the Godwin Motorsports team. That number 6 having to be in pit lane, and I believe that will more than likely be a start at the back of the field if they are able, indeed at all, to get that car rolling. But let's go ahead and go through the starting grid here at this moment. As we said, Gresham Wagner will lead the field out, and Tyler Gonzalez, your championship points leader, will be flanking him in the first row. Row 2 is Copeland teammate of Tyler Gonzalez, Paul Bocuse, in the number 71, and Austin Dodge will line up in P4. P5 is Corey Heim, the newcomer into the series, again continuing to impress. Tyler Wettengel to his outside in the number 80. Will Robusto in the number 8 for Smooge Racing will line up beside Drake Kemper in the number 99, and then it's Justin Piscatell for McCubby McAleer Racing and Stephen Clements in that BSI Racing machine lining out and rounding out your top 10.
Well, it would have been an 11th place start for Will Rogers in the number 6 for Godwin Motorsports. They might have to start at the tail of the field. Lucas Weisenberg rolls off in 12th in that 6th row. Row 7, Jackson Bell, phenomenal drive yesterday up inside the top 10. Jordan Rick-Segrini, a 2nd place result yesterday. He'll have to start from 14th today. Mark Pombo, 15th place in the number 10. He'll roll off alongside Aiden Yoder with the new Segra colors on board that number 73. Spike Kolbecker, the other teammate to Gresham Wagner, the Tech Sport Racing car, the 55, starts in 17th place. Mia Lovell, 18th in the number 68 for Smooge Racing. Tommy McCarthy in the number 23 rolls off 19th, and Alex Garcia, 20th in the number 30.
As we move back into 21st, that's Kanan O'Connell on the number 98 machine, followed by Michael Garcia, lining up right behind their family member in 22nd. Then Adam Eisman, the Canadian, will line up 23rd. Derek Jones in the number 44 for PJM BGRT to their outside. Tony Breidinger will line up in 25th there for Nitro Motorsports, and then McCumbee McAleer Racing's Lev Aretsky lines up in 26th. 27th will be Spencer Schmidt, and Amadeo Cueros for Pura Vida Racing will line up in 28th. Moving back into 29th position, that's Ruben Iglesias, and then Farron Davis to their outside in P30. One more driver to go through here in 31st, and that will be Joey De Silva back in the number 67 in 31st position. So, relatively clean race yesterday. A little bit of scruffiness here off of the start. Can we expect more of the same, or what do you think,
Yes,
Kyle?
yes, all of it. It's going to be wild. We saw the start get pretty wild. We saw a car airborne at turn number 1 yesterday. We said before the race yesterday that to finish first, you must first finish. That's always true, but it's very scrappy here. This is a battle, a bare-knuckle fight all the way through this 45-minute race. You have to be on it, and I think Gresham Wagner, Paul Bocuse, Austin Dodge, they saw how much Tyler Gonzalez beat everybody yesterday, and that put a target squarely on the Copeland Motorsports 57's rear bumper.
Yeah, it certainly did, and we're going to have to see just how aggressive Gonzalez decides to be here off of the start. Remember, a win will surely guarantee him the championship, but even just a good finish here ahead of Spike Kolbecker will also lock him in, so that's going to play into his mind.
The Toyota GR86 safety car has the lights extinguished. They will roll through turn 17. 45 minutes is the duration. DJ, here we go. 30 cars going to green at Sebring.
Gresham Wagner leads this field around here coming out of Sunset Bend as they get ready to enter into the VP acceleration zone. All eyes up to the flag stand as there goes the green, and we are racing once again here from Sebring. It looks like a pretty good getaway there for the field, fanning out to about 2-3 wide. Wagner certainly has a good lead here, and it looks like that's going to be Bocuse able to take a position away from his teammate there up to the inside. Fanning out here, not seeing a lot of dirt kicked up on the exit of turn 1, maybe just a little bit in the background, but this is not a good start here for Tyler Gonzalez as Austin Dodge takes a look around the outside.
No, he's dropped to third place, was able to slot back in just behind his teammate Paul Bocuse. A nice run through turn one, much nicer than yesterday, I must add, after a little bit of drama in the early going. Drop off the curb there for Austin Dodge as around the outside comes Corey Heim, and a little bit deeper in the field, 3 wide with Aiden Yoder on the inside and the 18 of Jordan Rick Segrini trying to get single filed out for the run down to the hairpin.
Tommy McCarthy also making moves. Ooh, Tyler Gonzalez, they're weaving coming down into the corner, clearly wanting to get those Continental tires up to temperature as they are following back. It's still side by side between Dodge and Heim. They are just like magnets, stuck to one another here, not able to break away. Looking back through the rest of the field, a little bit of dirt kicked up there on the exit of the hairpin, but everyone through cleanly as we're finally starting to get single file, except if you are Dodge and Heim.
Yeah, Corey Heim and Austin Dodge have been side by side almost this entire lap. Here's Will Robusto in the number 8 and Davacar to the inside, and Drake Kemper watching all of it. Which line is going to move? He'll look left to the outside of Robusto. This is a tough line to hold, though, through tower turn. They almost hip check each other now, single filing out, and here comes behind him. Is that Tyler Wettengill in the 80? Indeed it is. Tucks up underneath.
Yeah, Wettengill trying to take a look there. Didn't play out necessarily as tower turn is a little bit of a single file stretch there, as you can see the field finally settling themselves out. Dodge able to win that battle, by the way, with Corey Heim. That'll keep him in 4th place. Now, as they work their way through Jean Devien, a couple of drivers taking little peeks there, some side-by-side action farther back in the field. That was one of the Garcias that I saw, as there is the number 28 machine. That is Justin Piscatell going side-by-side with Jackson Bell. Jackson clearly on the charge here early on.
Yeah, drop the left side tires over the curbs through Jean Devien. You got to be careful with that. You have just a little bit of ground clearance over the top of that curb when you straddle it like that. So he was lucky not to scrape the underbelly of that car. And Corey Heim's right side mirror is folded in. We talked about that yesterday. Reduces your side and rear visibility once you have side-by-side contact, just enough to fold that mirror. But a 3-car breakaway out front. Wagner, Bocuse, and Gonzalez. Not good news for the race leader, though, DJ, because those are teammates behind him.
Those are teammates, but that is a Copeland Motorsports battle there between Bocuse and Gonzalez. But look at this, 3 wide coming down the main straightaway. That's going to be Kemper, that's going to be Dodge, that's going to be Robusto trying to sort themselves out. Going around the outside there is Robusto with a very fine maneuver in that orange and white number 8 machine, almost banging doors there with Spike Kemper. Kemper's going to have the preferred line, though, as they come down into turn 2. Contact, and that's going to spin Robusto around. Dodge got into the side of him.
Robusto goes around for a loop at turn 3, keeps the car with the power on, got the clutch in just in time, and continues to roll, but will drop to the tail of the field. It's a pinch point down there. Turn 1 is so wide, and by the time you get to turn 3, it's 2.5 lanes wide. It's a very easy place to get side by side. You just hope that doesn't draw a penalty.
Yeah, and we'll have to take a look at that if Race Control wants to have a little bit of a look at some point. Wagner leading the way right now. We're going to take a look back at the replay here. There you can see that contact, the hip check that you kind of talked about between Kemper and Robusto. I've got to say there for Dodge, just went a little bit too deep into the corner.
Yeah, just got too deep, was really deep in the ABS, and when you're doing that, the tires can only do one thing well. They can't steer, go straight and brake all at the same time. So when he got on the brakes, they just understeered right into the side of the number 8 and knocked him out of the running. So that's unfortunate for Robusto. He'll have a long day ahead of him to reclaim any spots that he can. Out front, though, Wagner is kind of keeping the train stretched out here. Bocuse and Gonzalez having a hard time staying coupled, but Corey Heim and Drake Kemper, don't count them out, though. If these front 3 get back together, that 24 Nitro Motorsports car was a factor all day at the front of the field.
Yeah, it very much was. And crucially here, Gonzalez has been able to get back around by his teammate of Paul Bocuse, so that's going to set up the slugfest here once again between Wagner and Bocuse that we have seen time and time again. It looks like it's a decent gap here at this point. Let's call it about 5-6 car lengths in between Gresham and Tyler, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that that's going to come down.
Oh, this is the calm before the storm, right? I mean, this is just like the Florida weather. One minute it's all sunshine, and the next, here comes the thunderstorm of Copeland Motorsports up into the mix. By the way, the contact at turn 3 between the 31 and the 8 is under review, and it could likely draw a penalty. The other thing I'm keeping my eye on as Kemper goes for a slide through 17 is our run through 14, 15, and 16. A lot of drivers are kind of cheating over to the left of the curbs on the run into Le Mans. You got to be careful to keep a tire touching curb there, or you could draw a cut track penalty.
Yeah, Yeah, that's very true, and you don't want to have that happen, as that will result in a little bit of a penalty rule. Busto plummeting down the order here as a result of that. But here comes Aiden Yoder on Lucas Weisenberg. That's a move down into turn one. And are they going to be able to sort themselves out in time for that? No, they're still going to remain side by side. That is Yoder on the right of your screen, Lucas Weisenberg to the left. Weisenberg has a nose ahead, but looks like he braked a little bit earlier coming into the corner, but he's still going to be able to carry the momentum and move the 46 back up into position.
Rick Segrini watching all of it, hoping to pick up the scraps. Remember, Weisenberg and Yoder actually had a collision back at VIR, but great sportsmanship and friendship between these two, and we saw how cleanly they raced there. But Rick Segrini trying to overtake down here into turn number 7, just a phenom in this series. Only his second event, finished second yesterday, but has a lot of work to do to make up positions to get back up on the podium here. This has been a much more orderly race. We didn't really see the deck shuffle on the opening lap that we saw yesterday.
No, we certainly didn't. Tony Breininger back down here in farther down in the order. This is the battle for 25th, trying to make a move on Farron Davis right now. Breininger in that very distinctive blue Hot Wheels machine, trying to be able to see if she can get a little bit of an advantage here to go around, jumping back up in the field. This is the number 73 up at the front. That was that battle you were following. Aiden Yoder and Rick Segrini trying to make a move to his outside.
Yeah, good battle there, and Rick Segrini's got overlap here into tower turn. This is a tough place to keep overlap. They're going to go in there shoulder to shoulder as Robusto makes his way back by. I think that was Tommy McCarthy in the number 23. Well done on his recovery drive up to 17th place after getting sent basically to the back of the field a couple of laps ago.
And Rick Segrini was able to make that move over the number 73 of Aiden Yoder, so move him up into 13th position here as they run. Now coming through Jean Debienne, it's going to be a question here, though. The most important corner to be able to set up on this circuit, they just ran through it. It's Le Mans, because it leads you onto the long Ulman Straight.
Bad news for RVA Graphics Motorsports by Speed Syndicate fans. The number 31 of Austin Dodge as a drive-through penalty for incident responsibility that happened at turn number 3 that sent Will Robusto for a slide. So he will have to come down pit lane, and considering he's running 6th and has had a really solid weekend so far, that's not what he wanted to see on the timing screen.
No, it's not. Aiden Yoder, though, certainly looking hungry, as we've got a nice little battle showing up here from behind. That is going to be the number 68 machine making a move, and that is Mia Lovell, who already has a big tire mark on the side of her car, making the move on Tommy McCarthy right now. But McCarthy, with the teeth on the front of that car, love that look, is not done with that position yet. Lovell trying to look down and hold that position. That's her teammate, Will Robusto, directly ahead of her. Robusto was the car that was turned around as a result of that contact with Austin Dodge, and now Robusto trying to fight back here. Robusto sending a move down to the inside of Mark Pombo. Good stuff. Ooh, little bit of front to rear contact,
yeah,
though.
Just a little tap there as Robusto completed the pass, and McCarthy chomping at the bit there to get by Mia Lovell in the number 68 as they leave turn number 5 and head up the big bend down to turn number 7 once again. The leaders still separated by just 0.2 of a second, but other battles throughout the field continue to rage on. Rick Segrini and Aiden Yoder side by side into turn number 7. The Segra 73 trying the crossover on corner exit, throttling down and shifting up through that Sadev 6-speed sequential gearbox to try to get another run on the 18.
Yeah, trying to get another run here if they are going to be able to do it. Looking farther up in the field, look at this battle. That is going to be Clements. Dodge there, I believe, as well, and that's going to be the 55 machine trying to be able to sort themselves in. That's the Tech Sport racing car of Spike Kolbecker. Also, don't count out Jackson Bell into this mix as well. They're almost 3 wide coming through Collier. That's not going to end well. They've got to try to sort this out here a little bit more if they can. Bell able to pick up 2-3 positions. That's the 28 of Justin Piscatel also getting involved. You can see that orange machine poking to the inside there of Dodge.
And just ahead of them, Wettengill and Kemper side by side. Piscatel gets shoved onto the grass in one of the fastest areas of the racetrack through Bishop Bend. They're still door-to-door with Clements in the pink number 76. Now into Jean Debienne, still side by side. That was well-placed racecraft there by both of those cars, but it looks like the 76 of Clemens will hold that spot for now.
Yeah, just chopping down on that line and really preventing them from being able to make that play. We get a look up at the front of the field here as the white machine of Gresham Wagner continues to hold off Tyler Gonzalez, but only by about 4 car lengths as they come down into Sunset Bend. Wider line there for Gresham Wagner. Now that's important because you can carry more momentum around that outside, but crucially, it's not as bumpy if you're a little bit wider.
Yeah, you can kind of modulate your placement of the car. Oh, big crash, final corner. Wow, that was a huge impact for the number 46. Wow, that's Lucas Weisenberg and Spike Kolbecker calamity at Sunset Bend, DJ, and the safety car has been dispatched.
Safety car has been dispatched there. That was a very, very large hit for both of those cars. Kohlbecker, the 55, I believe, was spun around, and then Weisenberg just had nowhere to go. That's a very dangerous portion of the racetrack, as that's kind of a blind corner and one of the highest speed ones on the circuit.
Yeah, I don't know what led to that, but we do see both drivers, they see their hands in frustration of that. Here's a look at the replay. Kohlbecker got turned around as a Jackson Bell, and then right in the center of the racetrack, Weisenberg could not do anything and slammed into the stationary Kohlbecker, who was broadside in the final corner. That was a heavy impact there, DJ. That's tough to watch.
Yeah, that's very tough to watch. Again, their contact with Jackson Bell is what spun Kohlbecker around there. We begin with not sure what the result of that is, not sure anything like that, but that is what it was. Are getting reports here that the 31 of Austin Dodge has served his penalty, but we are going to hold this field under the safety car here with just over 10 minutes gone in this race, as that could be a little bit of a lengthy cleanup, especially with the, yeah, that's exactly what I was worried about, that there could be some oil, some kind of fluid down on the racing surface.
Yeah, there's a little bit of everything from that Toyota GR86 Cup car down there in turn 17, and it's just heartbreaking for Weisenberg and for Kohlbecker. That is just a tough scene down there, but we've done a good job this season. We haven't had a lot of situations like this, but of course, racing, you tend to get stuff like this every now and then, and it'll bring out the safety car. Still got a long way to go, though. 33 minutes and 25 seconds remaining, so we should get a restart. It just might be a little while from now. It's going to reset the things at the top of the field, though. Wagner and Gonzalez had broken away from Paul Bocuse, and now this restart is another opportunity for Bocuse to take a shot. Yeah, I think he's going to spend this yellow flag kind of reloading here.
Yeah, it's kind of reloading, maybe trying to strategize a little bit on how to be able to catch back up to them. I also think this could play into the hands of the likes of Corey Heim, who we know has speed, but was really, I think, let down a little bit by those battles we were seeing him have farther back down in the field. And now that he is able to be in position to just focus up ahead, that may help him. Looks like we're going to take another look at what happened there. Ooh.
Yeah, Jackson Bell was on the inside of Kohlbecker, and they just got tagged. There wasn't a lot of space there, but what we didn't see, DJ, is the run up to the corner. And as far as race control is concerned, it's how you get there that is the big concern. So they just came together. I think that's what we anticipated, but just the challenge of turn 17, it's just not one single radius around the entire corner. You can see here, you kind of enter a lot straighter, and then you turn in hard right where this bridge is. So it's really two corners in one. And what that means is when you turn in, you're actually still on throttle. It's that kind of little straight between the two corners. That's really when you hammer the brakes. It opens up the door for big dives up the inside, and it's a trouble spot here for sure.
Yeah, it certainly is a trouble spot. Is the safety team here from Sebring International Raceway attending to both drivers here. Massive, massive thank you to them, by the way. We have had a couple of incidents here over the course of the weekend, and the safety team has always been right there, right on it, and making sure everybody's okay. Very, very thankful to have the likes of this team working for us here on an SRO Motorsports America Group weekend.
Well, and the bigger news here with the 55 of Spike Kohlbecker out of the race, DJ, there were some championship scenarios coming into this weekend as we get close to concluding the season in a couple of weeks' time at the racing capital of the world, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Spike Kohlbecker was second in the standings coming into the weekend, and Gonzalez could lock up the championship with a couple of race wins. I think the scenario coming into today was as long as he doesn't finish 7th or worse with the Kohlbecker winning, that would delay that almost what feels like inevitable championship for the 57, but this basically locks this up, and probably not the way Gonzalez would like to lock it up early, but I think this is basically going to seal the deal on that.
Yeah, I can guarantee this isn't the way that Tyler Gonzalez would have liked to have been able to clinch the championship, but you are right. With Spike suffering that incident, well, we can only assume is a DNF here at this point. That does mean that Tyler Gonzalez will likely be able to clinch the championship, but that's not going to be of any mind to him here at this point, because I got to tell you what, he's got a carrot right in front of his nose. He wants to be chasing, he wants to win, and he wants to take this fight to Gresham Wagner.
Well, like we said yesterday, Gresham Wagner, he's a little bit too far out of the fight to really pay much attention to the championship at this stage. It's just about picking up up race wins and trophies from here on out and fill up that mantle. And Wagner is going for the win regardless. So Gonzalez is absolutely going to have to fight hard the next couple of rounds, including this one, to go home with some more trophies than he came to the racetrack with. So that's still going to be top of mind. Paul Bocuse, though, in that Copeland Motorsports car in third. Got to keep an eye on him on the restart. You mentioned Corey Heim and Tyler Wettengel for Nitro Motorsports. Both those team cars up inside the top 5. Good day for them.
Another good day here for Drake Kemper, who's been able to rise up not six positions. He's in 6th position here at this point, and certainly being able to get himself into a position to maybe pick up some hardware here at this point. Copeland Motorsports teammates with Bocuse and Gonzalez, so we know he's got a good car underneath him. He'll be able to push himself up forward. We've also got a note here from Race Control that incident between 55 of Spike Kolbecker and the 2 of Jackson Bell is under review. No real surprises there.
Yeah, that's just a standard procedure there. But while we're got a moment to talk about some more drivers and their days, how about Kanan O'Connell in the number 98 running 15th place? Yesterday was a miserable day for that team. They collected a penalty early, came down pit lane to serve the penalty, got a penalty while serving the penalty, and then got a penalty serving that penalty. And it was just basically over for the 98 at that point. You get to requalify, and Kanan O'Connell running top 15 right now, salvaging something out of the weekend at Sebring.
Well, you mentioned it off the top of the broadcast here, Kyle. It's one of the things that I love about this Toyota GR Cup North America season is the fact that we do re-qualify. Most of our other series here, we either have a dual stage qualifying early on, or they have the second race is set by fastest lap times during the first race. And the fact that we re-qualify, basically shuffle the deck completely, it means that you can really put that first day behind you. You can absolutely throw it by the wayside and say, all right, it's day 2. It's time to go racing. Let's do this and have a completely clean slate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun also because you qualify on the day that you race, right? The conditions might be wildly different. We saw that at COTA a couple months ago when we kind of qualified in changing mixed conditions on Sunday morning and then raced in those changing mixed conditions rather than qualify in the dry and race in the wet. So that was good to see there. So cleanup still continuing at turn number 17, Sunset Bend. It's very important that area is nice and clean and dry because, again, as you mentioned earlier, it's blind. It's extremely fast. This track in general, you don't slow down all that much on the first part of the racetrack and the third part of the racetrack. That middle sector, there's quite a bit of stop and go and tons of passing opportunities, which we've seen be the catalyst for lots of action in GR Cup.
Yeah, we certainly have. And one of the things that is going down there that I was able to see, those looked like some speedy dry being put down to soak up that fluid that was put down. Now, that's obviously going to do a great job of making sure that that slippery surface isn't there, as there we get a live look at it. But what it is going to do is that for the first lap or two, that is going to be a little bit slippery. It is going to have a little bit of adverse effects, and it's not going to handle the same way that it would if you were running over normal concrete at that point.
Yeah, you don't want to drive over it, but it's better than oil, that's for sure. The challenge is I'm not exactly sure if this is just to the inside of the racing line or if this is in the middle of the racing line. You might not be able to avoid it. So as drivers go through, you'll see the dust get kicked up, and it can be a visual distraction, it can be a grip distraction, but it's just one of the many changing surface conditions over the 3.7 mile, 17-turn Sebring International Raceway. You know, what's been fun to watch all weekend long as we get at this shot here, you see the pavement transition there, the different pavement colors. There's a huge bump leading into the braking zone that challenges drivers deep in the brakes. You got the brakes at the maximum capability that you can get, and all of a sudden the car takes a bunny hop right before you turn in. It's a very, very challenging racetrack, and a lot of drivers have told me it's one of their favorites now after driving here this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's really one of the more grueling racetracks to drive. I mean, there are the stories of, you know, running an hour around here is like running 4 hours around another circuit, that kind of math that goes into it. But it is challenging, it is difficult, not necessarily because of the corners, because of the layout, but because of that track surface, that it is so grueling. It is such a physical racing circuit that it really, really tests you to your utmost.
And we should also mention that this is the first time the GR Cup cars have been here, anytime other than a test, and they are taking this racetrack with stride. It'll beat up equipment, and these GR Cup cars have been lasting very, very well. I haven't heard a lot about mechanical failures of any kind, so they are withstanding the weathered test of Sebring International Raceway. Over the last 73 years, it's gathered quite a bit of character as the sands of time have worn down certain areas, but these cars have taken taken it in stride, and it's been a lot of fun to watch, and it keeps the cars racing each other instead of racing the racetrack as far as reliability is concerned, which is always great.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want to see. We want to see these drivers duking it out wheel to wheel here at this point. That's really and truly what we want to go for. It looks like we're going to have at least one more lap under a safety car conditions as the lights are still on that Toyota GR86 safety car. That is the signal, and normally coming down the Ullman Straight, that is when those lights would turn off to indicate that we would be going back to green, so that is not the case. But plenty of weaving going on here of these Continental tires, making sure they're up to temperature, and probably needed today as opposed to the rest of this week, Kyle. Today is a comparatively cooler day. It's downright pleasant outside.
Yeah, less hot.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's brinking on cool, but it definitely is less hot, and I think that's definitely changing the conditions. We talk about the different surfaces here. Concrete and asphalt hold temperature in very different ways. They attract temperature in very different ways. The asphalt is much more volatile to surface temperature conditions. It'll soak up sun very quickly, and as soon as the sun goes behind a cloud, it'll dump that temperature out very quickly as well. The concrete is like a heat sink. It'll soak it all up, and it'll take a long time for it to go away. You can touch the concrete here after hours at like 10 p.m. and it's still got warmth from the day. So it's a little bit like having a lake near your town. It just kind of regulates the temperature and keeps things nice and temperate for the tires, but it is also a very abrasive surface as well, so you have to consider that towards the end of the race if you've been sliding around a whole bunch, DJ, but we're going to get to slide around some more, I bet, as we continue to circulate behind the GR86 safety car.
Yeah, I did notice there that they had the on-track sweepers taking care of some of that speedy dry, so I've got to imagine that those big sweepers are going to get all of that speedy dry out of the way, and that we could very well be seeing a return to green flag conditions here sooner rather than later. And it's going to be a lot sooner rather than later, as there you can see safety crews making their way out of turn 17, and I can almost guarantee now at this point that we will see a return back to green flag conditions at the conclusion of this lap. Probably put us with about 20 minutes of green flag racing left to go.
Okay, so you've opened your racing textbook. You've flipped to the chapter about passing the leader. What does Tyler Gonzalez and Paul Bocuse do on this restart to pass Gresham Wagner, or is there more to it than that? We have 20 minutes of racing left to go. That's an eternity in these cars. We've seen passes happen in half a corner. So what's your plan if you're the Copeland Motorsports team?
I think at this point you've got to attack right from the beginning. You have got to be aggressive from the downbeat of this race. We saw what happened yesterday with Tyler Gonzalez when he was allowed to fight unfettered up at the front of the field. And I think Gonzalez has got to be on it from the drop of the green flag. I think Paul Bocuse, however not great this may be, needs to maybe play a little bit of rear gunner for his teammate, because the likes of Corey Heim and Tyler Wettingel are not going to be waiting around. They're going to be eager to make that move as well. They want to get themselves forward, and Bocuse may have to play a little bit of defense to make sure he doesn't get swallowed up.
All right, riddle me this. How far back do you think someone can come to win this race while the front guys scrap? We know it's going to happen, but do you think they're going to separate themselves first and do battle, or do you think it's going to be a first through ninth battle like we've seen at a couple tracks so far this season, namely Circuit of the Americas?
I think with the condensed schedule on this race right now, we are going to be looking at a first through ninth kind of battle, and I would really put that all the way down to about 13th position with Will Robusto, that any of those drivers have the chance to really win this race, and that includes the likes of Rick Segrini, Pombo, Yoder, Lovell, all of those drivers. They've got a realistic chance here, especially if Wagner and Gonzalez maybe come to blows.
Well, it's all going to kick off here very shortly as the field continues to circulate single file, but getting ready to go racing because the amber and white lights atop the GR86 safety car have extinguished. And that means one thing: we're going green next time by. We have a handful of drivers out because of that contact at turn 17, and the rest are going ready to do battle here at the bumps at Sebring. Going to be a blast to watch. Gresham Wagner, though, for Tech Sport Racing with the championship a little bit out of reach. The focus is collect trophies from here on out.
Yes, it is. As there you see Justin Piscatell in the background, one of the most prominent cars, doing a little bit of weaving there. I also see a few others, including Aiden Yoder, doing that, making sure there is maximum heat in those Continental tires. Now remember, the restart zone is different from the starting zone, and that Gresham Wagner will be able to accelerate coming out of turn 17, so watch for that.
And getting a jump is important, but you don't want to jump too far ahead because that will allow Gonzalez and Bocuse to catch you by turn 1 using that slipstream as they accelerate up to speed. The safety car heads for home. Gresham Wagner has 20 minutes to hang on to this win, DJ. Here we go. Toyota GR Cup North America restarting at Sebring.
Gresham Wagner on the loud pedal as the engines harmonize here, and we are back to green flag racing. It's a pretty single file run there. It looks like that could be a little bit of a poke out in line there for Tyler Wettengill trying to make a move. Corey Heim trying to defend against it as the top three have already started a breakaway. We've got a little bit of too wide farther back in the field.
And Gonzalez went down the inside of Wagner and steals the lead away just like that. The Copeland Motorsports 57 goes back to the top spot. Ooh, the wiggle and a wobble from the 24 as Gresham Wagner tries to cling to the lead, but he cannot.
Not able to do it. Meanwhile, farther back, that's the 99 machine of Drake Kemper battling it out with Tyler Wettengill. Almost contact there between the two as they work their way through 4 and 5.
All right, so now that Wagner has lost the lead, yesterday he wasn't able to keep pace with the 57, but he had traffic to contend with. Can Wagner in the Tech Sport racing car keep the 57 at bay, keep him from growing that lead to over 20 seconds like he did yesterday, as there's a scrap for position behind him, Yoder and Piscatel.
Yoder and Piscatel, also Mia Lovell there, and I believe that's Stephen Clements. Lovell gaining a couple of positions on the run as she chucks the car down around the outside there of turn 7. I haven't seen that move work out here over the course of the weekend, but Mia proving me wrong.
And here comes the number 18 of Jordan Rick Segrini, finished second yesterday, watching those two door-to-door, Lovell and Clemens, side by side into Cunningham here. Clemens will have the preferred line, a bit of a fade to the right there for Mia Lovell, and into Cunningham. Look at the 8 car of Robusto on the outside of Rick Segrini.
It's two smooch racing cars there in the Ondava liveries as they run. Now Mia Lovell tries to give a little bit of a hip check there to Stephen Clements, and it works. Move Mia Lovell up one position. Great stuff there for her. Rick Segrini and Robusto side by side.
Out of turn number 13, they're going to head for Bishop Bend, one of the fastest double left-hand corners on the racetrack. Look at Tommy McCarthy. He's got right sides in the grass. A shovel with O'Connell there. That was side-by-side action as Rick Segrini still is door-to-door with Robusto into Jean Debienne.
He's going to have the preferred line here, Will Rick Segrini for Jean Debienne, but then it'll switch back around again through that. That's going to be Robusto dropping a tire off to the outside of the curbs. Looks like now Tommy McCarthy, brilliant move by Kanan O'Connell, getting the over-under through Le Mans.
Yeah, he was 4 tires off to the outside of the racetrack, though. I don't think race control will love that, but he'll tuck back in line and get back straight as the leaders are 1, 2, 3. Gonzalez, Wagner, Bocuse at the moment. Rick Segrini, huge defense off for Robusto, entering turn 17, and in behind him, McCarthy is side by side with O'Connell.
Yeah, and it looks like Rick Segrini dove a little bit too deep into Sunset. Robusto said thank you very much, dove down to the inside, but Rick Segrini going to be able to carry a little bit more momentum there around the outside. They'll maintain side-by-side flying formation for the moment, as now Robusto has to fall in behind Rick Segrini.
Yeah, how long will he do that? Rick Segrini stays on the defensive line here. Robusto swings to the right. O'Connell trying to defend from Tommy McCarthy in the 23, and just behind him is Adam Eisman in the open road racing number 69. He's trying to set up for a pass here as well at the exit of turn 1. Here comes Robusto to driver's left of the 18 into turn 3.
Well, that's where you want to be set up for that corner. A little bit later into the braking zone. Missed the apex ever so slightly, but it did allow for a perfect chop over the nose there of Rick Segrini, and now Kanan O'Connell says, I'll take a little bit of that, please. Moves that machine up forward for PJM VGRT. Here they go, but now Rick Segrini has the inside line. Kanan O'Connell's got to think about how to do this going into the hairpin.
And just behind him, Will Rogers in the number 6 trying to make his way through the field at the moment. He is up to, looks like 18th place as they head out of turn number 7. Remember, Rogers had that issue on the pre-grid, wasn't able to get the engine fired for. The pace lap started at the rear, and just like yesterday, is working his way up through the order late in this race.
Meanwhile, up the front of the field, it is not a repeat of yesterday as Tyler Gonzalez is being hounded here by Gresham Wagner. They're dropping just a little bit back to Paul Bocuse, but Bocuse is keeping this relatively tight, as is Heim, Wettengill, Kemper behind them. The big gap that we're seeing here at this point, I think, is from Aiden Yoder to Mark Pombo.
Yeah, I don't think Gresham Wagner likes being behind Gonzalez at the moment. You'd think a lot of the tracks you want to be behind because you can make that slipstream pass on him on the straightaways here, but Gonzalez has been so quick. I'd feel much better playing defense rather than offense if I'm Wagner in the closing stages of this race, and he's doing a good job keeping that gap under a half a second, under a car length as they slide over the curbing and the concrete here at Sebring.
Well, Kyle, you called it there, shortcut by car number 98. That's Kanan O'Connell, is under review by race control here at the moment, so potentially a penalty being issued to Kanan O'Connell, who currently runs up into the top 10 here and there. You can see that gap. Ooh, I think that was Will Robusto dipping 2, maybe even 3 tires off into the ground. grass. Justin Piscatell not pleased with that tire temperature, doing a little bit of weaving down the Ullman Straight.
Yeah, and as for the 98, he might argue that he was pushed off, and in that case, that would have to be looked at as well. How did you leave the racing surface? Was it intentional, or was it to avoid contact? That could prevent a penalty, as Tommy McCarthy is under fire from O'Connell there down through the final corner, turn 17. Austin Dodge, remember the penalty he had earlier in the race? That yellow flag was a big saving grace for him, allowed him to jump right back into the pack here and go back to battling.
Well, and for the record there, it was determined that the 98 of Kanan O'Connell gained an advantage, so instructed to give that position back to Tommy McCarthy, and that's exactly what happened there. Excuse me, to Adam Eisman. So that's exactly what happened there. As we watch the number 7 Zotz Racing Machine of Michael Garcia trying to make a move around the outside. We've got a little bit of side-by-side here farther back in the field. That's Lev Aretsky that they were trying to go around here as they come down into the corner. That's the 31 of Austin Dodge. Remember, that car got a penalty earlier on, and now it's just trying to fight their way back up through the order.
Oh, it's dusty at the exit of turn number 5 as a couple drivers exploring the edges of the road. The curbs here are very tall, but like I said, these GR86 Cup cars are very compliant. You can get the job done. Lovell, a big lunge there on Mark Pombo in the number 10. She gets the 68 to the inside and will wrestle for position here for 10th place. Make that 9th.
Yeah, and Mia Lovell here really strutting her stuff at this point. It's the number 10 of Mark Pombo. I didn't think that move was going to work. Pombo being very courteous, though, giving her space down to the inside, and that, frankly, came back to bite him, as now Mia Lovell's going to have a look going down into Cunningham, into the right-hander. Lovell's got the position.
Nicely done. Mia Lovell used a couple of corners to her favor and got the pass done. Drake Kemper just ahead of Piscatell. This is their 6th place fight. Aiden Yoder just on the back end of that, and they are a little ways behind what looks like a, what is that, a 5-car race for the top spot there? Yes, indeed. So Gonzalez, Wagner, Bocuse, Hyman, Wettingel all in this front pack, and then it's 3 cars, Kemper, Piscatell, and Yoder, 6th through 8th.
All right, and here as we watch this battle for 6th right now, Kemper trying to hold out the best he can. The top 5 are in single file order, as are these trailing 3 right now, but I've got the sense that this is a little bit of a percolating battle, as there goes Piscatell down to the inside of Kemper. That was pretty stuff.
Did you see the tires on Kemper's car? They were half on the rumble strip and half hanging in the air over that rut on the curbing. That was cool. You want to use all the racetrack? How about that? And plus about an inch and a half of that Continental hanging over the rumble strip. Cool stuff there, DJ.
Indeed. Aiden Yoder took a little bit of a look on the back there of the 99 machine of Drake Kemper, but fought against it going down into sunset. It's now going to be Piscatell that leads this battle, and Piscatell going to be hoping to close in, maybe steal a top 5 out of this as Tyler Gonzalez crosses over the line. That gap growing to nearly a half a second in between himself and Gresham Wagner. It's not the dominance we saw yesterday, but he's doing a good job.
Yeah, he's picking the pace up a lot. He just ran a 2:26, 1:55, which is 0.3 better than Gresham Wagner. We haven't seen times that fast all day long. We've been in the 27s mostly, so Tyler Gonzalez is really stretching this field out, and this is what I was talking about, is I don't think anyone has the pace to keep up with him, so they have to get in front of him to keep that pace from happening. Here's this 99. Watch Drake Kemper, the left side Continentals here. He hangs him over the rumble strip, but watch on exit. See that slide mid-corner? He's going to be wide as Piscatell gets there. Watch the air that these tires hang over the edge. That is so cool. 3/4 of the tire hanging out. You can't tell me that he was off track. He was still on it, DJ. All the 4 tires still touching the road.
I think that's what we call pushing to the absolute limit there at that point. Great eye, Kyle.
That was so cool.
That as Tyler Gonzalez up at the front of the field, continuing to lead here at this point. Gresham Wagner hounding behind him. Paul Bocuse dropping back just a little bit, it looks like, but Bocuse has done this almost every lap. It looks like he loses a little time through the later part of Sector 1 into Sector 2, and then he's able to gain it back up in Sector 3.
Yeah, Gresham Wagner and Tyler Gonzalez would rather have this be a head-to-head dogfight here. I think they'd rather keep Bocuse, Hyman, Wettingel in their own 3-car race for 3rd place. Gresham Wagner and Tyler Gonzalez, they know how to race each other. Oh, trouble! The 18 of Rick Sigrini spins!
Oh, and that looked like it could have been a little bit of contact. Big good avoiding action there for both of the RVA Motorsports by Speed Syndicate cars. Hopefully Rick Sigrini is going to be able to get that car turned back around, and that is contact there with the number 8 of Will Robusto, and that is a big piece of bodywork flapping off to the outside.
Yeah, they've had big-time contact, and I had seen some rumblings about some disagreements on the racetrack. Let's have a look at it here. This is heading down into Cunningham. The 8 of Robusto to the inside, and just gets squeezed there. Rick Sigrini does between Pombo and Robusto. Then back across the road. Great avoidance by the trailing cars, DJ, but just a lot of cars in a small spot.
Yeah, a lot of cars in a small spot, and I've got to think here for Robusto that he is going to come down into pit lane here. I think race control is going to be taking a look at that, as that is not safe, having a piece dangling off the car like that.
No, it just looks like, again, the piece of the fender liner or something. It'll probably just fix itself if it goes flying off somewhere, but I wonder how well the bumper is clinging to the left front of that car. Here comes a lunge from one of the VGRT cars. That's O'Connell down the inside. He'll take a spot away as the 8 loses some more ground. That front bumper is dragging as well, so aerodynamically not as efficient as it was planned to be today.
Well, it not surprised looking at that pass, as it looked like as they got up to higher speed, Robusto just lost a lot of it there, and the combined nature of that bumper dragging across the ground as well as that piece flapping in the wind, that's a lot of drag.
Yeah, Tyler Gonzalez using all the curbing there, had the right side tires about 2 feet off the ground. As he tries to sprint away from Gresham Wagner, they are quickly siphoning themselves off into their own little 2-car tango here with 10 minutes to go. Bocuse, Heim, Wettengel not able to quite keep pace with the front runners at the moment, as Kemper and Yoder in the very background are beginning to scrap for 7th place.
Yoder thinking about a move. Andre Kemper down into the hairpin, but decided not to go for it. And Kyle, here I'm having shades of Road America, where Gresham Wagner stalked behind Tyler Gonzalez, building up to that final lap to be able to make that last lap maneuver. I wonder if that's what we're seeing the Tech Sport Racing driver doing here today.
Well, both of these drivers are just already planning their chess moves, and they're really good at chess. Both of them are already thinking about what the other one is going to do. This is the classic Sebring fight in these, I guess, relatively low-powered sports cars here, 230 rear-wheel horsepower. You have long straightaways that you can draft up and plan maneuvers, but the passing zones are known. Where drivers are going to make their moves are known, but Gonzalez and Wagner have to figure out something that the other is not expecting. Remember their battle at VIR when Wagner sat behind Gonzalez lap after lap and tried to take the lead away, and then sat back and didn't make that pass, didn't make that attempt, and then all of a sudden just pulled out of nowhere and went for it and got the move done. So that's what's happening right now. It's the planning stages for that last lap.
In the planning stages here as they run. By the way, another message from race control. The incident between Will Robusto and Jordan Rixagrini is under review. Oh, big drop of the tires. They are off into the outside for the 99 of Drake Kemper. That's not how you want to do it there coming around that corner.
Needed 25% more tire. He got all of it off that time. But here comes Aiden Yoder now with a big run. I just don't think he's got the overlap to have a lunge into turn 17, so he'll tuck back in line as the Twitch number 99 and the Segra 73 run nose to tail through the bumpy Sunset Bend here at Sebring. Just over 8 minutes to go. DJ, we're getting down to the last 3 or 4 laps.
We are getting down to the last couple of laps here, and I like what I'm seeing from Aiden Yoder. I'm not seeing any necessarily big chucks down to the inside. He's being very, very heads up while still just trying to poke and prod Andre Kemper to see if there's anything to be done there. Another good battle here farther back down. That's Rogers and Clements battling down into the corner. They're very close to one another as well. Looks like here the Robusto still has that bumper dragging, still has that piece of fender liner flying off there, so clearly race control not seeing a problem with it, although he did just drop a tire off into the grass.
Yeah, whatever is hanging off there, I don't think it poses a huge hazard to anybody. It's distracting, yes, but I don't think it's going to cut a tire down or anything of the sort. Gresham Wagner just ran a personal best, a 2:26.159. His best lap, only 4 thousandths of a second off of Tyler Gonzalez. This is about as evenly matched as your heavyweights are going to get.
Yeah, it certainly is, and they are starting to prove that they are the heavyweights of this field as they distance themselves a little bit. Drive-through penalty, by the way, issued to Smooch Racing's Will Robusto for incident responsibility, that resulting from the crash with him and Jordan Rixagrini.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Robusto. This race did not go to plan like it has gone before, so he'll have to hit pit lane here in the final 7 minutes. He had recovered up to 15th place after that incident at Cunningham Corner. But up at the front, Gonzalez and Wagner, just a 1/10.5 separated them at the start-finish line. But here's what we haven't seen Wagner do. He hasn't really been hounding Gonzalez. He's been sticking with him, DJ, so one of two things is happening. He's waiting in the wings to pounce, or Gonzalez is just pulling him along and he doesn't have much left to attack that 57.
Well, we've got about 6.5 minutes to find out exactly which one of those that will be here, Kyle. It does look like, though, particularly coming down through Jean Debienne and Le Mans, that Gresham Wagner lost a little bit of time there to Tyler Gonzalez. Gonzalez just getting the better of it.
Yeah, and again, with 6 minutes to go, your time is beginning to run out. That hourglass is getting very empty up top as the battles begin to reformulate a little bit deeper in the field. It looks like Aiden Yoder has found his way around Drake Kemper, so those two have swapped positions. But how final is that swap as Kemper tries to reel in the Segra number 73 and get new colors on board that car as of a couple of rounds ago. And into turn 17, Kemper trying to go the long way around there, a little bit wider line, and navigating the bumps beautifully here as we come out of turn 17.
Yeah, very good navigation from both drivers there. And what I'm really impressed with from this whole top of the field here, look at this, the top 6, all setting down personal bests on that last lap. It just goes to show you that they are still pushing this far on into the race as Kemper tries to take another look on Aiden Yoder. Yoder forced to go a little bit defensive. I think Kemper was looking for a little bit of a crossover there, was able to carry good speed through the corner, but just not quite able to get it done.
Yeah, he had a decent run there. I thought he might poke out at turn 3, but that's been a calamity corner so far today for contact, so thought better of it. He'll plan this one out a little longer, so staying in behind the number 73 of Aiden Yoder for now as we get down to the final 5 minutes. About 2 car lengths separate the 73 and 99. Love the purple, pink, and white livery on Kemper's car. Very striking colors. And just behind this fight, Mia Lovell. What a drive she has had today. 9th place in that number 68 for Smooth Racing.
You know, I had a chance to talk to Mia yesterday, and I told her that that was one of the most impressive drives that I've ever seen her do yesterday coming back through the field. She may make me eat my words here today. This may be one of the more impressive drives I've seen from Mia. I have seen her elbows out. I have seen her really getting aggressive and pushing forward. And especially here, if Kemper and Yoder continue to fight in these final 4.5 minutes, she may not be done.
She has an opportunity to grab up to 7th place if these two continue to scrap as such. Last time by, Yoder and Kemper were in a 2:27.404 to a 2:27.826. Lovell was quicker than Kemper, not quicker than Yoder. So she belongs in this battle. She's just got to get a couple more seconds up the road to really reignite this bonfire for 7th place.
Yeah, she does, although Mia is also suffering from one of those turned-in mirrors as well, as courtesy of some of the battles that we've seen here. All right, in contrast to the previous lap that we saw there, it looks like Gresham Wagner a little bit closer to Tyler Gonzalez on this last time through as they continue to work their way around here, coming down to, I believe this will be 2 laps to go at the line.
Yeah, it's going to be close, 3.5 minutes. I think you're right, because we have to be 2:30 or under. So yeah, you're right. It should be 2 to go this time through as Gonzalez heads down through turn number 17. Wagner's closed back in, though. He was half a second back last time through and bouncing over the bumps at 17. Gresham Wagner is still in this fight, and I think we're about to see the pressure start to rise on the back bumper of the 57. Here they come across the stripe, just 2/10 between them.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what I was talking about, counting back here at this point, trying to be able to make that work. Gresham Wagner took a little bit of a half-hearted look down into the inside of Tyler Gonzalez.
Whoa, I saw the understeer from the 5 chasing Gonzalez, and Paul Bocuse has Corey Heim filling his rearview mirror. Tyler Wettengel watching the two and hoping they maybe tangle, and he'll have a spot at a podium here.
Yeah, that's what he's going to be hoping for here at this point. Heim looking for a little bit of a crossover. It's not going to happen as they now work their way into turns 4 and 5. Dust kicked up there by, I couldn't tell if that was Wagner or Gonzalez up at the front of the field, but here comes the battle for the final podium position. Corey Heim looking very strong.
Yeah, really good run here for the 24 Nitro Motorsports car. I'm sure a trophy would be a great way to end out this weekend. Right behind Paul Bocuse on the braking zone to turn 7. Lap and a half or so to go. Tyler Wettengel, the other Nitro Motorsports teammate, waiting to pounce as these two get side by side here in the final moments at Sebring.
Yeah, just trying to wait. Wettengel maybe could be in for a little bit of a run here, could be in for a little bit of a good play if these two really start to tangle with one another. Justin Piscatell runs about 3 seconds behind this battle right now, probably out of the equation unless we really see a big tangling, but never count out the McCumbee McAleer Racing driver. We've only got about a lap and a half left to go, so now, Kyle, it is time. You gotta set up these moves.
Yeah, and there's a good look at Justin Piscatell riding kind of a no man's land here, and guess this is one of those moments as a race car driver when you're just hoping that you see the drama ahead of you start to kind of kick off and give you an opportunity to sneak up a few more positions. But with 1 minute and 50 seconds to go, Gresham Wagner has been stalking his opponent out of the cockpit. He's got the crosshairs loaded up, and this airfield might not have been active for over 70 years, but we're about to see a dogfight for the win here at Sebring.
Yeah, we certainly are, again, pushing to the absolute limit of those rumble strips. They are on the exit of Le Mans. We can see the top 5 make that the top 6 going down the long Ullman Straight. Here they go. What does Wagner have for Gonzalez? Will there be a fight, or will Tyler Gonzalez be able to cap off his championship campaign with a victory here? They go down through Sunset. Wagner getting a little bit closer there as they run down through the corner. They may have their eyes flick up to the flag stand, but for the rest of us, it is white flag in the air. 1 lap to go from Sebring.
Every move Gresham Wagner has made this season, every time Tyler Gonzalez has thrown defense, they're about to look up every note that they've used all season long. Wagner right to the rear bumper through turn number 1, slamming over the concrete bumps here at Sebring. Gonzalez and Wagner, it's just 1v1 right now for the top spot.
Yes, it is. This is the dogfight that we have loved to watch at so many different points. It looks like Wagner was able to carry a little bit more speed in there, but touched onto the grass. That's going to slow him down ever so slightly as they make their way out of 5.
Oh, Gonzalez right out to the edge of the road. Wagner drops a tire at the exit of 5. Every ounce of speed he can extract out of this car. And behind him for 7th, Yoder and Kemper still side by side through 5. This time Kemper is through on Yoder as he slides out wide, but it's not done yet. Yes, it is. Kemper takes the spot.
Kemper's got the spot. Yoder just got a little bit of slideways there coming down through the corner, as now it's going to be Gresham Wagner trying to push ahead. Meanwhile, back for that battle for P3, it does look like Corey Heim has been able to make the pass on Paul Bocuse.
Yeah, and here comes Wettingel now, maybe trying to pick up the scraps. Bocuse is not done. Got a great run exiting turn number 7. He will set up Cunningham now in that number 71 machine here as he heads down to turn number 10. Braking zone, the 24. Hard defense here, DJ. This is not over yet for the 3rd place trophy.
No, it's certainly not. Paul Bocuse definitely wants to share that podium with his teammate of Tyler Gonzalez, but Corey Heim has different things in mind. Now it's Tyler Wettingel trying to take a little bit of a look. We take a look at the front of the field as Gonzalez continues to lead the way here, and looks like he's got a pretty healthy gap over Gresham Wagner. But here comes Wettingel. Wettingel looking to the inside as they fly towards Bishop Bend.
Last sector here at Sebring International Raceway. 45 minutes and a safety car has all led to this. The last couple of opportunities to steal a spot, steal a trophy, steal some points on the way down to the season finale at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The Brickyard is where we will decide the championship. But out of the last couple of corners, Tyler Gonzalez and Wagner, by about 3 car lengths, Gonzalez has an advantage.
He does indeed. Gresham Wagner has got to have an almighty move coming down into turn 17, and even then I don't think it's going to be enough, as indeed that is going to be Gonzalez diving onto the binders into Sunset for the final time. Wagner tries to be able to see what he can do, but it's going to be of no use as Tyler Gonzalez gets back on the loud pedal and thunders his way towards the start-finish line. It's victory once again for Tyler Gonzalez.
7th win on the season for Tyler Gonzalez in that Copeland Motorsports car. Gresham Wagner 2nd place, and behind them Corey Heim, Paul Bocuse to the line by 1/10 of a second, give Heim the podium. Then it's Wettingel, Piscatel, Yoder, Kemper, Lovell, and Will Rogers salvaging a top 10 after quite the weekend he has had. Here's a battle to the stripe there, the number 7 of Michael Garcia down the order just a little bit. This is going to be a grid scrap there. Is that Austin Dodge? No, that is, that's Davis in the number 11. Farron Davis will beat Garcia to the line by just a little bit. Then it's Jones, Breidinger, and through the last couple of corners, the rest of the field will circulate, but Gonzalez on a championship hunt here in Toyota GR Cup North America will circulate around, successful again. 7th win on the season. What a drive yesterday, so dominant. Today he had to play defense up at the front of the field. Gresham Wagner in 2nd place. I have to give him all the credit for fair play here once again in Toyota GR Cup North America. Then it's Corey Heim, Bocuse, and Wettingel. We had such a great fight all race long. Really all through the field. Of course, we had that unfortunate incident between the number 46 of Lucas Weisenberg and the number 55 of Spike Kolbecker, all instigated by contact with Jackson Bell. Those drivers, unfortunately, were not able to finish the race. And then Jordan Rick Segrini also involved in a collision. Well, DJ's going to head away to go handle the podium here, so we'll be stuck with me for the rest of the broadcast here as we work our way down on the cool down lap, and Tyler Gonzalez gets it done here again. There's a look at the race results for race number 2. Tyler Gonzalez for Copeland Motorsports. Tech Sport Racing takes second place with Gresham Wagner. Corey Heim and Nitro Motorsports, a pair of top 5s for both him and teammate Tyler Wettengel, with Paul Bocuse splitting the Nitro sandwich there in 4th place in the 71. Then it's Justin Piscatel, Aiden Yoder, 6th and 7th. Drake Kemper, Mia Lovell, and Will Rogers wrapping up the rest of your top 10. Mia Lovell did such a phenomenal job all weekend long, and so did Rogers in the Godwin Motorsports car, making his way up through the field after starting at the tail both days. That was a long weekend for the driver of the number 6. Then Stephen Clemens for BSI Racing comes home 11th. Austin Dodge in the RVA Graphics Motorsports by Speed Syndicate car. Then Kanan O'Connell for VGRT. Adam Eisman for Open Road Racing. Then McCarthy, Davis, and Garcia 15th, 16th, and 17th. Derek Jones, Tony Breidinger, and Mark Pombo, the rest of your top 20. Amadeo Carros, Ruben Iglesias down the rest of the order. The tail end of the race was very exciting for the top spot. It was just 4/10 the margin between Gonzalez and Wagner. Bodywork dangling from a handful of cars, as it has been this season. A frantic fight. A bare-knuckle brawl here at Sebring all weekend long throughout the rest of the field. And you got to give a tip to the cap also to Kanan O'Connell, whose Saturday went very poorly. Had a penalty, went to go serve the penalty on pit lane, got a penalty for the penalty, and then a penalty for the penalty for the penalty. And this today comes home 13th in a nice rebound for VGRT. So Tyler Gonzalez will head back to the podium and Amanda Busick in just a couple of minutes, as the rest of the field cools down and takes a moment to breathe before our season finale at the Brickyard in a couple of weeks. We'll also have an extra race there because of a washout at the Nashville event a couple of months ago. So we'll have 3 events with 75 points on the line, but for Tyler Gonzalez, nobody can close that gap that he has established all season long. Points gathered, points gained, 2 race wins and a weekend sweep for the 57 in Copeland Motorsports. Paul Bocuse on the Copeland Motorsports team comes home in 4th, and Kemper, all 3 cars in the top 10. So they will hold their heads high after a weekend here at Sebring International Raceway. So the track is quiet after a dramatic race here once again. Toyota GR Cup has been a phenomenal series all season long, from tight and twisty tracks like Sonoma Raceway to the high speeds of Road America and Circuit of the Americas. VIR, we had a blast. Of course, Nashville had the one rainout event with just 3 events left. We're going to head to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Corey Himes down with Amanda Busick in near the podium.
Well, as we wait for Tyler Gonzalez to make his way to us, Corey, you guys gave us a battle for 3rd there at the end, you and Paul. It was a drag race to the finish. Talk about the commitment that Sebring requires.
Yeah, it's just a mental game, all about rhythm and placement. So, it's fun to come do this from the truck stuff. I feel like it's just a weekend off. I want to do something, and I feel like this really opens my mind up to some new things. So, super happy to be able to be on the podium. It's I feel like we deserve to be on it every time. Yesterday we got a little roughed up for 3rd, and today we kind of rebounded. So thankful for Nitro Motorsports, Nick Tucker, and all the guys.
And Kylie talks about that truck stuff. He won the race at Bristol. He's going to be battling for that NASCAR Trucks Championship in Phoenix.
Yeah, battling for a championship in Phoenix in the Truck Series, but battling for a podium here at Sebring. Well done, and assimilated quite nicely into the Toyota GR Cup North America field with championship battles going on. Was very respectful to those as well, which is always great when you have star power dropping into a series for a weekend or 2. It's been a blast to have Corey Heim with us here this weekend. But of course, the 57 of Tyler Gonzalez with that championship, he's got his eye focused on that. Gresham Wagner was chasing him all season long, and at this point the gap is too big to overcome, but you have to give Gresham credit when he's just fighting for race wins. He's got the opportunity to rough up that 57. They're not fighting for the same thing anymore. Gresham's just trying to tally up the trophies on the mantle, while the 57 looks for the championship trophy. There's the 5, a couple of marks on the side here. It can be a bit rough and tumble at times here in GR Cup North America, especially at a racetrack that is as rough as it can be. The toughest racetrack on equipment on the GR Cup North America schedule. I'm sure Gresham will be exhausted after this one, and with just 1 round left to go, still maybe something to prove. But Mia Lovell has proved tons in that Endava number 68 GR86, a top 10 result for her. She had a busy day yesterday recovering from a couple of shunts early. in the going. Gresham Wagner stands by with Amanda Busick.
And Gresham decompressing after this race here at Sebring, and you gave it what you could. And reflecting over the race, is there anything else that you could have had on the table for Tyler?
I maybe could have defended a little bit on the restart, or stuck my nose in once or twice, but I didn't really have a good opportunity to beat him straight up on pace. I mean, he was just good this weekend. I finished third yesterday, but he beat me by 25 seconds or something like that. So from yesterday to today, for him to beat me by a couple car lengths, I think we made a lot of improvements on the car and everything. But it's hard to get that much time per lap with just some minor setup changes between the race yesterday and the race today. So I'm happy with that. It was a lot of improvement. It wasn't fighting tooth and nail for third. It was a conservative second, and I just had to kind of settle for that.
A double podium here this weekend for Gresham Wagner.
I know that's bothering him. I know he would love to win that race, but a second is certainly nothing to be ashamed of. He's been good all season long. Anytime he's in the mix, it's that 57 and 5 that have been the dogfighting players at the top of the field here. And what a fitting place to do that dogfight at an ex-World War II training airfield, nonetheless. With all those pavement changes, it has been weathered by the test of time, and so has that lead battle. As we head down to our race winner, the number 57 of Tyler Gonzalez with Amanda.
And yet another Continental Cup for Tyler. It will also be another top step on the podium here at the home track. You get the championship here, double top step in front of your friends and family. How much more sweet is that?
Yeah, for sure. I'm just happy we could get it done here at home. I just can't say thank you enough to Copa Motorsports, to Gear Wrench, to Toyota for all the support that they've given me. I'm super happy we could wrap it up here. It was a great race with Gresham. He kept me on my toes, but like I said, I'm just super happy we could get it done here at my home track.
Congratulations on such a dominant season, Tyler.
Thank you.
It really has been a dominant season and a dominant weekend to boot here at Sebring International Raceway. Tyler Gonzalez did a phenomenal job all weekend long, kept the nose and the tail clean of that 57, all important on the trek to a championship. There are just 3 races remaining in the season, a makeup race from Nashville and 2 more in the court of the racing capital of speed. We're going to head to Indianapolis Motor Speedway to cap off the season in just a couple weeks. A battle on the bricks, absolutely. We'll see you there for Toyota GR Cup North America. Kyle Heyer with DJ Clark. We'll see you in Indy for the season finale.